Good morning, sir.
Good morning, my brother. How are you?
Fine, thank you, sir. Before we start, we want to clarify first. The Congress in Warri, is it for the election or is it just to decide when the date will be?
Yes, well, going by the letter from FIFA, FIFA directed we must have an extraordinary Congress to decide the elective date and venue. So that this Congress we are going for tomorrow is extraordinary. That has one major item is to decide when are we having our election and which venue are we having our election. Then we communicate to FIFA, who will now in turn make arrangement to be in Nigeria to witness the election.
There were a few worries about the location. First, people wondering why it was in Warri when a candidate was from that zone and saying it should be in Abuja. Do you have any issues with the location of the Congress?
No, this one is an extraordinary Congress to decide the venue. So the issue of worry about the venue of election is premature. As I'm concerned, the Congress has the ultimate authority to decide where they want to hold their Congress. So that will take place tomorrow. So the issue of worry does not arise for now because what we are going for is ordinary to decide the venue and where and when to have the election.
Okay, we also want to know, we know that there have been 7 people that have been cleared, but I want to ask you now directly, what exactly is your manifesto? We've seen what has been happening in the NFF over the last few years. You have experience at this level. Also, you've dealt with CAF. I want to know now, what exactly are you now saying you want to bring to the NFA this time around?
Well, I actually served as vice president to doing the Senilulu board, and right now I'm the vice president of the board of appeal. And in fact, I'm the only Nigerian that's a vice president of a committee in CAF. So I'm sufficiently experienced, understand international football politics. But coming back home, we have had a lot of problems with Nigerian football. And I think this is the time for us to now get the experienced hands to go there and change problems we have there. First problem is, first of all, is that we have consistently refused to obey our own laws. We have consistently violated our statutes. And football is governed by international law. Because if you have to play football, you have to the same laws that they have in Seychelles, which is a tiny island in the Indian Ocean, it's the same laws that must govern our football. So we must now respect our statutes, respect our rules as approved by FIFA, because it is an international law, and also domesticate it. And that's why we're having conflict with government. Until government domesticates the international laws, that is the status governing our football, the government will now understand their do's and don'ts. And that's why they're having conflict with FIFA. So we need to go there and then educate the government that with collaboration. That's why FIFA says interference. They don't want interference because the rules are clear. And if you don't obey the rules, FIFA will suspend you. So this conflict, collaboration will require, and we must let them know there's need to domesticate our laws. Hitherto, we only had Decree 101, which used to bring people by government fiat into the federation, but it has changed from 2006. The FA chairman now have democratized our football. They have to decide who runs the football, and by so doing, if you do not domesticate that law, approved by the federal government, signed into law by the president of this country, there will be these ministerial interferences that have been happening that's creating this conflict. That conflict must stop. That I want to handle. That's very, very important. Secondly, is also we need to create peace in our family. There's so much problems, so much conflict within the football family. We need to address it. We need to bring everybody to the table. We need to now talk about how we're going to manage our football. Football is big business. Everybody has a role to play at whatever level, national level, state level, zonal level, state level, and the local government level. It's a big business. And everybody will have a role to play. I need a mature, experienced hands to lead this drive, to make sure that the whole family will come back together. That's one of the priorities. And if we don't achieve that, we can never have progress in our football. Going further than that, having achieved that, we think we should now talk about how to attract better sponsorship into our football. I don't believe that we can depend on government as long as football is growing now. It's a big brand. Super Eagles is a big brand. We can raise money from companies and run our football. The oil companies, apart from Shell, are not making any contribution to our football. And they are making a lot of money from this country. So the government supports will only just make the oil companies put in a little bit. Government gives about 2 billion to football. Football has about 13 national teams and give us the greatest glory in this country. What is 2 billion? It's the greatest vote of a governor. It's more than that. So what is 2 billion to a sector that gives us so much glory and so much fun, so much stability? When we're playing a match, the whole country stands still. What is 2 billion? So we need to attract better funding, and let government face facilities, provide facilities, beaches, training beaches, and etc., etc. These are the things we must have to do, and it requires an experienced hands to go into this venture and redirect the focus of government into this. Football can survive without government subvention. A government can only give a grant. And it's the status. It's not a question of subvention, it's a matter of a grant. We support you with this, and once you win, once you go for a national and international tournament, government now comes in to sponsor its national team to that tournament. But the day-to-day activity, we can raise our money to run our football. This is very important. And on from there on, now we'll bring issue of transparency. If you're getting money from the private sector, you must be transparent. You must be running an open way. Everybody will be part of it and know how you're spending money. Make the public see how you're spending money. Let them see your account. Let them see. These are the things that's going to give the federation a good image. So people can trust it. People can want to invest money into the federation because we try transparency and believe they are honest. People will not want to invest money. Private money is not money you can spend anyhow. The private sector to put in money, they must want to know how you're going to spend the money. This transparency is very important, and we need to put into our football. And then the program goes on, but that will have this in place at the national level. We now move to the state level. The state level, we now move in the state associations. They need to be better funded to run the grassroots program and have a very distinct and clear talent hunt policy. So many players are at the local level and have not been sourced. Look at the candidacy we sourced from Imo State by our own local undertaking competition. It's a great start now in Man City. It's a great start for the country. There are too many of such NHOs. So at the state level, we can raise talents that can make Nigeria proud. It's lot to be done in football. And I think we can go on and on.
We can't. But there's one more question I have to ask. There has been this talk about some candidates being sponsored by the government and states and some personally sponsoring themselves. What's the situation on that? Do we have all candidates sponsoring themselves, or do we have some that are still getting government sponsorship?
You see, that is anomaly in our football. Somebody comes in, is a government candidate. Tomorrow when you go in, government asks questions, the government has interfered. You can't understand that. So the issue of government candidate does not arise. If you say a government candidate, you have no business in our sector. We have a congress of 44 delegates who have the voting right. Let them decide who they want. If you say you are a government candidate, and tomorrow you are there, government now ask questions, you say they are interfering. I can understand it. So the issue of government should be discouraged. The government should allow the practitioners to go ahead and decide who they want to run their football. And they give them grants or support them the more they can. But the issue of government candidate is an aberration, and I think it should be discouraged. We don't like that. Somebody here is the FA chairman, he's a chairman of the National Sports Commission, or he's a commissioner in the state, and he's a chairman. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. You have to, if you're an FA chairman, you are an FA chairman, it has nothing to do with government. You can't be one leg in government, one leg in the FA. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. And tomorrow you say government interference. So that's an anomaly we have in our system. We have to address. And only somebody who understands this anomaly, who has not been involved in this government can understand the program and put it in place. So it's a big problem for us. Honestly, I must say, it's a big problem.
Okay, thank you very much. I wish everybody the best. I hope for a successful Congress tomorrow. And I hope that by the end of the day, we'll have our election officials and our election date. Thank you very much, sir.
Well, thank you very much for your support. And what you're doing at your level will help us also to put things in proper degree for us so that people will now know the right thing and do the right thing.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yes, okay.
Amanze Uchegbulam, former NFF vice president and a contestant for the post of president for the Nigerian Football Federation.